Today, you're going to learn about the simple additions that I made to my daily routine that helped me grow my hair back as a woman over 40. So, if you're a woman over 40 and you've started to notice that your hair is getting thinner, maybe it's not growing as quickly as it used to be, or your ponytail's smaller, or you're just seeing more hair come out when you are in the shower or in your hairbrush or on your clothes, then I've made this video specifically for you because I know firsthand how alarming that feels. And I also know how easy it is when that starts to happen to start worrying and wondering if this is just the way things work now that you're getting a bit older. Is this part of aging? Is this your hormones? Is it an underlying health condition? Is it genetics? Is it just the future that us women have to accept? And I want to talk to you about this today because what helped me, what I'm going to teach you all of the steps to, that I promise it's really simple and I'll get to it soon. But it wasn't something that I even originally started doing for my hair at all. It was something that I was adding to my routine to support my joint health and to help fuel me for workouts and for my recovery and just to support my health overall. That's all good stuff, but the unexpected side effect that was my hair fall virtually stopped entirely and my hair started to grow in thicker again. And I was finally able to start getting it to grow out longer because that had been an issue for a long time. So today I'm going to walk you through exactly what it is that I'm doing and why each of these four ingredients, why they matter so much. But more importantly, why the combination of these four ingredients, well, how that has a synergistic effect. So the combination works differently than any one of these single ingredients would work on their own. Also, why this helps so much more, at least for me, than all those hair loss products that are out there on the market, because this is all about setting your body up with exactly what it needs to be able to grow your hair longer and thicker again. So when we talk about hair loss, especially for us women in midlife or women with hormonal conditions, we tend to look at it through one lens. We tend to look for one thing that will solve the problem or that's the issue, right? We're looking for that one supplement or that one shampoo, that one serum or hormone or problem or device or gadget that is going to resolve it. But hair growth is almost never about just one single thing. And as a holistic nutritionist, that's really what I want to help you understand today. So I'm going to break down the exact ingredients that I use in what I call my daily mix. And these are all super accessible and quite affordable, especially when you compare them to all of those products out there on the market that are supposed to help with hair loss that can cost hundreds of dollars or even thousands of dollars. And to make this all really easy for you, I've linked a free download in the description below where you can get all of the ingredients as well as the specific dosages that I'm taking in one little PDF so that you can know exactly what to do and you can get those things and get started right away. So that link I'll put below. But growing up, I had really thick hair naturally. I was lucky in that department. I could grow my hair long. And to be honest, I didn't really ever appreciate my hair. I didn't really think about it too much, except when it was annoying me because it wasn't behaving the way I wanted it to. But then when I started to notice that my hair wasn't as thick as it used to be, well, I suddenly started thinking about it and appreciating it in a whole different kind of way. Because there is a really big difference with wanting your hair to behave differently and realizing that your hair itself is changing without you wanting it to. So because I had thick hair, I'd always had a lot of hair shed naturally ever since I can remember. So I'd find it on my clothes. It would come out when I'd wash my hair in the shower. It would be on the floor when I swept or vacuumed. But I didn't really give it a lot of thought because I had lots of hair to begin with. So it wasn't until around 40 that I started to realize that my hair wasn't as thick as it used to be, even just a handful of years before. And I know having babies can do that, and hormones can do that. And I have a hormonal condition called PCOS that can contribute to that, as well as, of course, getting older. These are all things that don't help with hair growth as women. But I started to think to myself, well, if this is happening now, what are things going to look like in a few years if nothing changes? If I keep on losing hair, how thin is my hair going to get? And I worried about, I didn't want to be a woman that was balding. When your hair starts changing and you don't feel like you can control it, well, it's really unsettling. And for so many of us, especially us women, our hair is a really big part of our identity, right? And I knew that I wasn't alone in this because as a holistic nutritionist and somebody that specializes in female metabolism and female hormones, and someone who has worked with countless women who are going through something similar to this, I knew already that hair loss was a big problem for a lot of us women. But the thing is that knowing something intellectually, knowing something professionally, and experiencing it personally, well, they're not the same thing. Because when this started happening to me personally, and the extra tools that I knew could potentially help weren't really helping, well, that's when panic started to set in for me. So when I noticed that my hair was getting thinner, I started doing everything I could think of that might help. I started taking certain supplements, so things like biotin and saw palmetto, which a lot of people have good results with. That didn't really do anything for me. I started doing other things like using essential oils on my hair and on my scalp, using castor oil, started massaging my head. I got a little scalp massaging device, trying different products. And I started even getting paranoid. Like I had this gold necklace that I used to always wear 24/7, and it always would get tangled in the back of my hair and pull out hairs. And I stopped wearing it because I thought that maybe that was part of the problem. It was just pulling out too many hairs, because that's the kind of thing that your mind starts doing when you're worried and you're trying things and nothing's changing. You start looking everywhere for a possible explanation and a possible solution. So you start wondering, is it your shampoo, how you do your hair, how you style it, the tools, the products you use, how you wear your hair? Like I heard, don't wear your hair back, don't wear ponytails, it causes breakage, things like that. You start worrying if it's your hormones or age or genetics or stress or diet. I mean, everything became suspicious to me. But none of those things really made any kind of difference for me. But now in hindsight, I can see why. Because most of those things, they can work on like a surface level, or they tend to target one small potential piece of the problem. They might be helpful to some people. They could support one pathway or one specific trigger, but they're not necessarily going to give your body everything that it needs so that it can maintain healthy hair and healthy hair growth. And so that's the thing that I think so many women are missing when it comes to this. Because when we talk about hair growth, we tend to talk about it like it's a scalp issue or a hormone issue or a nutrient issue or a product issue. But hair growth isn't just one thing. It's a full body process. So you need to make sure that your body has the raw materials that it needs to grow the hair, but it also needs the structure and the nutrient support and the energy to be able to do all of that work. And if any one of those pieces are missing, then your hair is going to be one of the first things that you notice, where you notice that something is out of balance, because hair isn't essential for our survival. So absolutely, for most of us, especially if you're watching this video, hair matters to us emotionally, right? It matters to our confidence and our identity and how we feel when we look in the mirror or see ourselves in a picture. But from your body's perspective, your hair growth is certainly not more important than your overall health, right? Your survival. It's not more important than your organs or your muscles or your immune system or your recovery or your stress response or all the things that your body does to keep you alive and functioning. So if your body feels that it's under supported in any way, it's not going to be able to prioritize hair growth when it's trying to keep you alive and well. And that was the part that hadn't really connected for me when I started going through this, because as a holistic nutritionist, I was already living a healthy lifestyle. I was practicing what I preach with my clients, with the women I work with. So I was already making sure that I was eating the right foods, that I was getting enough exercise, getting my sleep, and managing my stress and all of the good things. But on top of that, I was also making sure that I had a protein rich diet, that I was getting lots of protein, that I was getting my omega-3s, that I was eating lots of foods that contain the important nutrients that we need for hair growth, things like collagen and zinc and so many other things. And so I was also focusing on my exercise, because I know that movement and getting your blood circulating, that's really important to be able to nourish and fuel those follicles in your scalp. I was working on taking care of my stress. I have daily stress management practices and making sure I got really great restorative sleep every night. I was already taking lots of supplements that I knew helped to optimize my overall health. And I didn't have any deficiencies or any red flags with my health or anything like that. But clearly there was something I was missing, because my hair loss continued. And the best case scenario for quite a while was that I could maintain the amount of hair I had. It wasn't getting thinner beyond a certain point, but I wasn't able to stop that, and I wasn't able to start generating more hair growth again. So I was dealing with all of this as best I could, but in the back of my head, there was just this fear that this was just how it was going to be, and maybe this was the future that I had in store for me, because I'd watched my mom and my aunt and other women in my family struggle to a degree with thinning hair as they were getting older. I thought, well, maybe this is just what the future has in store for me too. But then that's when something happened that I really wasn't intending. And like I said, it didn't happen on purpose, but I started taking this simple daily mix, not for my hair at all, but for my overall health and joint support and all of those good things. But what I found was that this mix virtually eliminated my hair fall entirely. And then with time, I started to notice that my hair was coming in thicker. I was starting to get baby hairs sprouting, and I could see them at all those interesting, awkward lengths, which I still have lots of. But that's what I want to share with you today, because honestly, I didn't even realize how powerful this could be until the other night. I was teaching a group class, and I was casually answering some questions at the end of the class for the women in my group. And I casually mentioned how I had been doing this for a couple of months and how I'd found really great success with it. And it wasn't the topic of the evening or anything like that. I just mentioned what I'd been doing and what I was noticing with my hair. And I tell you, I have never seen a group of women scramble so quickly to find pens and paper and start scribbling down exactly what I was saying. And that's when I realized, okay, this is something that there is clearly a big demand for. This is something that women clearly could use a lot of support with, because as I knew all too well, hair loss is one of those things that feels really deeply personal and frustrating and scary. Here's the thing that most people aren't taught when we're talking about hair loss and hair growth. It's not about forcing your body to grow hair. It's about giving your body everything it needs so that it can grow hair. And there's a distinction. And that's why this combination is so interesting, because it's not that you're just going to take one simple thing for your hair, It's not just some random hair supplement. It's not a beauty trick or hack. It's the combination of this that supports your body from several different angles all at the same time. So I really want to stress the point that this is not about the individual ingredients. You might already be taking some of these things on their own, but it's how these things come together and help support one another in a synergistic way. It's how these ingredients help your body do something more powerful together that any one of these ingredients could do on its own in isolation. So the very first ingredient in this mix is collagen. Now, I know lots of people take collagen. You can think of collagen as a raw material. So collagen is wonderful. It helps to give your body the amino acids, which you can literally picture like building blocks that your body needs to use to repair all kinds of different tissues. So collagen helps not only with your hair, but it helps with your skin and your joints, your nails, your tendons, your ligaments, all your connective tissues. And I know that collagen supplements are really popular. They've been around for a long time, and it's for a good reason, because the vast majority of us, even if we're eating really well, are not getting enough collagen of those specific amino acids on a daily basis through diet alone. So to get collagen naturally without supplementing, you need to be eating lots of things like fish skin, chicken skin, having lots of bone broth, eating meat that contains lots of connective tissue. And those are things that most of us just aren't doing consistently, especially if you're living a busy life. But the important part is that I already had been supplementing with collagen for years prior to figuring this out. And I was already eating a lot of those collagen-rich foods. But collagen on its own, it really hadn't made a major difference for me. And that's an important point that I want to make clear to you, because a lot of women hear that collagen is good for their hair, so they start taking a collagen supplement. They expect that to be the whole solution. But like I said, collagen is one piece of this, and it's absolutely an important piece. And I want to encourage you, it's part of this mix, but it's not the whole picture. So if you think of collagen sort of like the environment that your hair can grow out of, it's part of the foundation and it's absolutely important, but it's not everything. So supplementing with collagen is really important, because if you're not getting enough, you're simply not giving your body enough of the raw material it needs to work with. And your body is not going to be able to prioritize your hair growth if all of those other important things that help sustain your life, your health, your mobility, all of those systems that also require collagen, if they're not getting those raw materials. Your body needs to have an adequate supply of collagen on a consistent basis. So adequate doesn't quite describe it. Really, your body needs to have an optimal amount of collagen in order for it to be able to promote hair growth. So collagen is ingredient number one. It gives your body the raw material. Ingredient number two is vitamin C. And just to be clear, I am not talking about, getting your vitamin C from drinking a glass of orange juice or eating a cup of broccoli or whatever's in your daily multivitamin, because that's all good. But I'm talking about using vitamin C intentionally as part of this combination. This is something that most people don't realize, because on its own, collagen isn't enough. So vitamin C is what actually allows your body to convert collagen into that usable structure that you can actually benefit from. So if you're already taking collagen, but you're not supporting it with adequate vitamin C, then you're simply not going to get the full benefit of the collagen itself. And vitamin C matters for another reason too, because even if you're eating well and trying to do all the right things, vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin. So basically what that means is that your body really can't hang on to vitamin C for very long. It can't store up supplies like it does other nutrients. So your body needs to consistently be getting vitamin C each day. And on top of that, us humans are one of the few mammals on the planet that doesn't produce our own vitamin C. So we need to get vitamin C through our food and through our supplements. And vitamin C is absolutely one of those substances that it greatly supports our health in many, many ways. There was many years ago a Nobel Prize devoted to the discovery of vitamin C. Linus Pauling, you can look it up. So again, if your body doesn't have enough of the vitamin C, then it's not going to be able to take whatever amount of vitamin C it is getting and prioritize that towards your hair growth above everything else. It's going to use it where it needs it most to keep you alive and well. So vitamin C is the piece that helps your body to actually utilize that collagen properly. Now, the next ingredient is something called MSM. So MSM stands for, bear with me, methyl sulfonyl methane. And that's probably not a word I'm ever going to just have easily roll off my tongue. Hence why we usually call it MSM. But MSM is basically a naturally occurring sulfur compound. Now, sulfur is one of those things that our body needs all the time for, again, many, many reasons. But because of how we store it, how we process our food, how we cook our food, the amount of the sulfur that we actually get into our bodies, well, it's a lot lower than optimal amounts. So even if you're eating really well, you're probably not getting adequate amounts of sulfur on a consistent basis. And sulfur plays a key role in building and maintaining many things, including your skin and your hair and your nails, but also, again, your joints and connective tissues. But in addition to that, it's also part of the structure of keratin. And you may be familiar with keratin. It's the protein that your hair is primarily made out of. So your hair is somewhere around 90-95% keratin. So getting adequate MSM can directly affect things like your hair's strength and structure and thickness. And as a bonus, it supports all kinds of tissue repair throughout your body. So a lot of people that have joint problems, things like arthritis, they're familiar with MSM. They take it because it can help relieve joint pain. But when you supplement with MSM, you're not only supporting the environment that your hair is growing in, but you're also supporting the actual structure of your hair itself. And that's part of the reason why MSM is so interesting to me in this stack, because collagen helps to support that foundation and that connective tissue. And then vitamin C helps your body to utilize that collagen well. But MSM then is supporting the keratin, which is also supporting the structure of the hair itself. So MSM fills in a big missing piece that your body needs to be able to build strong, beautiful, resilient hair. Now, ingredient number 4 is something that's really popular as a supplement these days, but it's actually not associated with hair growth at all. And that's creatine. So this one often surprises people when I mention it because people think that creatine can cause hair loss. So I want to address that specifically because that concern comes from one small study that showed a potential increase in a hormone called DHT when people were supplementing with creatine. And that can negatively impact hair growth. But creatine is actually one of the most well-researched supplements there is. And that finding in that one small study has not been supported in the overall research. And in fact, many researchers that have looked deeply into creatine supplementation totally dismiss the claim that creatine has anything to do with hair loss. But more importantly than that, when we're talking about hair loss, hair thinning, lack of hair growth, it's not usually, like I said, about one specific thing in isolation. So hair loss tends to be about the environment that your whole body is in. So energy, stress, nutrient availability, your body's recovery processes, these all play a key role. So instead of just looking at one thing, like it's either good or bad for your hair, like creatine, it makes a lot more sense instead to think about what these individual ingredients are doing for your body as a whole. So when we're talking about creatine, creatine helps your body to produce and recycle energy more efficiently. And that matters a lot because your body is constantly deciding where to allocate its energy, its resources. And if it senses that you are underfueled or that you're overtaxed, it's not going to, again, prioritize things like hair growth. So, again, hair growth is a nice to have. It's not a need to have. It's not something that keeps us alive. So, because of that, your body's naturally going to minimize how many resources it can devote to the process of hair growth. Hair growth is only going to be properly supported when your body has enough of the support and resources that can allow for it. So when you start to improve your body's energy and recovery systems, you're essentially telling your body that, okay, we're good. We have enough of everything we need here. And that allows your body to invest not only in keeping you alive and well, but also start to devoting energy to repair and growth, including your hair. So creatine on its own is fantastic for helping to support energy. And I mean, if you want to know more about creatine, I'm happy to devote a video to that. Just let me know in the comments below. But the thing is that these 4 ingredients in combination, well, this is where things get really helpful and really powerful. Because when you look at this whole mix together, things start to make a lot of sense. So you are giving your body the materials that it needs to build hair when you are taking in things like the collagen and the MSM. And then you're helping your body to use those materials well when you add in the vitamin C. And you're also strengthening the actual structure of your hair itself through keratin with support from MSM. But then with the creatine, you're helping to fuel your whole body with the energy that it actually needs to be able to carry out that work. So now, if you're taking this mix on a daily basis, your body actually can start having all of the resources and the capacity to do something about that hair growth. And so in my perspective, that is so very different than just taking one random hair supplement or using a gadget or a product and hoping that it's the right piece of the puzzle. So if you take one thing away from this video, let it be this. Start taking these 4 ingredients together consistently once a day. And this is the actual action. So you don't have to be perfect or obsessive about this, but consistency is a huge piece. Because when we're talking about something like hair growth, consistency is where the magic happens. I love consistency. I talk about it all the time. But the truth is that supplements like these, they're not going to do you much good if you're just taking them here or there. Your body needs that repeated signal and that repeated supply and that repeated support. So when I started doing this, like I said, it wasn't even for my hair initially. I was taking these different supplements because I wanted to be able to support my joints for my health and my workouts. But it didn't take long for me to first notice that I was not losing nearly as much hair. I wasn't having so much hair come out in my hairbrush. And then when I'd wash my hair, I would have way less. I wasn't losing as much hair when I blow dried it. I wasn't finding out my clothes or on the floor nearly as much. So that was the first thing I noticed. But then I started to notice when I touched my hair that it started to feel thicker. And like when I was styling it or looking at it, it just felt like there was more of it. But it was subtle at first, right? Hair growth is slow. It tends to take a long time. But I started to see that my hair was coming in a bit thicker. And like I said, I started getting these awkward, like baby hairs coming in all over the place. And then I started to notice that it's getting a bit longer. I'm starting to be able to grow it out longer again. But then the real magic happened when other people started to comment on my hair too, because that's when I knew that This wasn't just me imagining things. I wasn't just making this up in my head. Now, I imagine that this is going to take years in order for me to get the maximum benefit because, as we all know, hair growth doesn't happen quickly. So this is definitely not an overnight thing, but that's part of why I really like this approach, because this isn't just about helping your hair. You're supporting your overall health, right? You're supporting your joints, you're supporting your skin and your nails, but you're also supporting your tendons and your ligaments, your whole gut health, your recovery processes, your connective tissues. Your whole body really benefits from taking something like this. So you're not only doing something that matters only for your hair growth or for you're not only doing something that benefits you from a vanity perspective, which is all good, but you're actually, in addition to that, you're getting the extra benefit of you're doing something that's supporting your body on multiple levels. Your hair happens to be one of those parts that you actually see, right? But there's a lot of benefits going on under the hood, so to speak. And to me, that's what makes this really worth doing because, and again, this isn't complicated. This isn't expensive or time consuming. These supplements are really easy to find. They're highly accessible. You can get them pretty much from anywhere that sells supplements. To make this really simple for you, I created a little free download that you can get. I'll link it below. And it gives you the exact ingredients as well as the exact dosages that I take daily. And I put it in a simple little recipe card that you can download so you don't have to pause this video or rewind it and write everything down or try to remember it. You can just grab that recipe. If you decide to start taking this daily mix, as I'm affectionately calling it, then be sure after you've been taking it for a little while to come back to this video and let other women in the comment section know how you found it, how it's helped you, what you've noticed, because that kind of real life feedback, it helps other women so much. I'll see you in the next video.